in a short while later on. But for now, let's have a different session. We do have in studio His Excellency Dr. Evans Kidero, Governor for Nairobi. Good morning, sir. Karibu sana.
Morning, Idimole.
It is a pleasure to have you.
Asante sana.
And probably even before we start off with issues to do with Nairobi, you've just watched that story about what MPs intend to do. They're demanding to be paid for 8 months, even after they leave office. Do you agree with them?
First of all, good morning, good morning, Nairobi. I think, this is a very, very sad situation. I believe when we read the papers later on today, if Kenya was to pay its debt, every Kenyan alive and breathing now would have to cough 60,000 shillings. Our debt is well over 3 trillion shillings. And if they want to be paid this extra money, it's uncalled for, because remuneration is for work done, not work not done.
Yes.
We in leadership positions, we don't go into leadership to earn, we go to serve the people who've elected us. So if we're going to leave early, so be it. Don't get paid for the work done. And also, I would have expected that the members of parliament would be discussing the doctors' issue. How do we get doctors to go back to work?
The one thing they do agree on is when it comes to their money.
Yeah.
And they're even discussing a package for former members of parliament, which they've already passed. And former members of parliament who served between 1984 and 2002 will now receive 100,000 shillings monthly, backdated back to 2010.
I think that's very, very unfortunate. And I think Kenyans must open their eyes and see the kind of leaders they have.
Yes, those are some of the headlines today, and we'll be discussing that with my news review panel later on. Let's now discuss issues about Nairobi. Now, some sections of the media, if we could start with this one, are reporting this morning and yesterday evening about you allowing a community to graze their cattle within the city center. That's the Maasai community. How true is this? And what rationale is there to allow people to graze their cattle inside the central business district?
Let's put this in context. Yesterday, I went to meet the Maasai community in Embakasi. They've been living there since the 60s, and the county government, the then city council, allocated land to them. When the SGR, when the new railway line is being built, they needed to be compensated, and documents were put in place. But what we found out behind our backs is that National Lands Commission colluded with people who had fake titles and paid out 700 million shillings. So we had to go to court to stop further payments, because the actual or the legitimate people who should have been compensated, who are mainly Maasais who are living there, were left out. So the total compensation should have been 2.5 billion shillings. So we went to court and stopped further payments until the legitimate people are actually compensated. So during our discussion, what I did, I thanked them for because in the last 4 years since I've been governor, I discussed with them, and they've kept their cows out of town because it's against the law. No animals are allowed in town, and no animals are allowed in town. So
the headlines I'm reading are not accurate.
I'm sure you.
I just needed that clarification.
No, you guys know how you report.
I'm just imagining driving through town and meeting cows.
Of course. You remember when the lions broke up? They had to be rounded and be taken.
We're not allowing lions into Nairobi.
Of course not.
So we're not allowing.
Not even elephants. Not even giraffes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's now discuss the development, and of course, being Nairobi governor, you're the very first governor of Nairobi. I'm sure has come with its own challenges. Having served the first term of a governor, I'm sure that has its own unique experience. Now we're seeing everyone, and by everyone, just an indication of the huge number of people who are seeking to replace you, to unseat you as governor. What are some of the unique challenges? How easy has the job been, or how difficult is the job?
I think in the first place, the new constitution, which came into being in 2010, provided for devolution, and I think devolution has been a huge success, not only in county 047 but from county 001, which is Mombasa, all the way to Nairobi. And I think probably that's one of the best things that has ever happened to this country, because for once people determine their destiny, their areas of development, and what they want done, how they want it done. When we came into being in 2013, Nairobi did not have a plan. So we've done a strategic plan for the next 25 years. But also we've done what you call the new plan, Nairobi Urban Integrated Development Plan, which defines which roads pass where, where are the sewer lines, where are the water lines, what type of building you can put in which part of town. And together with that, even the 45% of Nairobi land which had no titles, we've started working on that. But if I can be a little bit specific, the one thing I'm sure you'll agree with me, in the last 5 years, there've been no running battles on our streets, because what we've done is, as the Bible says in Proverbs 29 verse 4, that a just ruler brings stability.
So you credit yourself with a peaceful coexistence.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at my CEC, it reflects the face of Kenya. From Turkana to Taita, from Masai to Moyale. Of course, I mean, I can't say that for other institutions. Then secondly is obviously stability. When people live in harmony, we've got 42 communities. There is peace, there is understanding, and crime must reduce. And together with that, I mean, we know when you consider when cities are dark, we put about 50,000 streetlights up from 11,000 that we had before. Right now, if people go to look for service, they not just look for the person who speaks their language. When they go in a queue, or when they go to, they know that they'll be attended to as Nairobians, not service being a favor. We've streamlined the way we work. You'll recall the famous ghost workers. We got rid of 3,000 people who were on the payroll. But we've done a lot on infrastructure and housing. We've done 1,200 kilometers of roads recarpeting. I'm sure, I mean, you come across on Venice Bridge. But
Governor, I'm sure you must sometimes feel unjustly judged, because if you compare Nairobi to other marginal counties, probably northeastern or Turkana, the effects of devolution are very visible in such counties, because previously there was not much infrastructure. But for a county like Nairobi that had the mayor's office, City Hall has been in existence for all these years, when it comes to having visible things that you can actually say, yes, when we came into office, this is what we did, things that people can see, what can you say you have done?
Well, let's just go back. I mean, when you say the comparison you're giving is very light, because there are certain things that Nairobi does that is not in the rural countries. I've just talked about streetlights. In the rural countries, they don't have streetlights. So if I spend 4 billion shillings on streetlights, the other people in up country will do something else. The streetlights themselves cost us 100 million shillings a month on electricity bills. Of course, I mean, people see streets are lit, but they don't think that that power is paid for. We collect when I came in, we were only collecting 300 tons of garbage. Now we collect 2,000 tons of garbage. It costs another 100 million shillings. That's not the money that anybody else will pay for. We've improved. Let me just say, I'll take 3 areas. I'll take health, I'll take education, I'll take infrastructure. We've made 20 health centers into 24 hours. We've built 30-bed maternity units in 19 health centers. We've reduced maternal mortality, which was the case in Pumwani, from what it was probably 25, 30 per month to nearly 0. We used to have neonatal mortality, that's the death of children at birth, from we were higher than the national average, because we were at about 5% We are now lower than the national average at 1.9%. We built a 120-bed maternity hospital in Bagathi. We built a 50-bed maternity hospital in Tuini, which is in Dagoretti South. So, and we, as I mentioned, we made 24 hospitals into 24 units. Obviously, I mean, probably the people, as you say, are not judging me correctly.
Yes.
They never go to health centers. Their wives, if they are married,
yes,
don't go to. Let me just have a look at your finger.
Oh, you're looking for a ring on my
I'm
finger.
looking for a ring on your finger. So this is an area probably.
But Governor, probably, and as I said, yeah, probably you're not being judged justly because most people in Nairobi, they also have a lot of opportunity to go to private hospitals as well, because you just listed a lot of this. But again, it could also be said that Nairobi benefits a lot from the national government, that we have some health infrastructure that fall directly under the Ministry of Health that are in Nairobi, like the referral hospitals. Mbagathi Hospital, MTRH, is also under the national government.
Mbagathi is probably, maybe that's Mbagathi is a county hospital.
Okay.
Mutuini is a county hospispital.
Mama Lucy.
Mama Lucy is a county hospital. Yes.
So all these are
the only, I mean, it's not even government because it's a parastatal.
Yes.
Is Kenyatta National Hospital, which is a national institution. Outside Kenyatta Hospital and the private hospitals, every other health institution in Nairobi is a county hospital. It would surprise you that 30% of our employees, we've got 11,000 employees, 4,600 work in the health institution.
In the health sector.
In the health sector.
Yes, and now that we're talking about that, the issue of the doctor strike is something that has been a huge problem. With all your 24 plus health centers, how much of a big problem is it for you? I remember sometime in January you had even threatened to sack the doctors who are on strike. How far have you gone with that? In terms of health workers, the nurses issue, how have you been able to handle it? Because the situation in Nairobi is totally different from Nakuru or any other county.
Like all public institutions, the doctors are at the apex. There are a lot of other healthcare professionals who provide service, the nurses, the clinical officers, the orthopedic technicians. But the ultimate person is the doctor. We have 160 doctors in Nairobi, currently 124 on strike, so we only have the consultants attending to the patients together with the
so we have about 36 doctors working?
Yeah, we are about 36.
The entire county?
In the entire county. But going back to the issue of strike and obviously the members of parliament, take for example, a doctor takes 6 years to train, does 1 year internship, so is a pharmacist, so is a dentist, and when he comes out you pay him about 30,000. I'll tell you, I mean, when I left medical school my salary was 2008. The 2000
you are a medical doctor?
Now I'm a pharmacist. I have trained as a pharmacist, of course. Now I don't do that. If you compare that to MCS, who earn well over 300,000. You compare that to members of parliament who earn well over 1 million.
Yes.
And yet they do not even want to consider the plight of not only the doctors themselves, but resourcing the people that the doctors and the medical professionals serve. And that's why I was saying, like in the previous year, we were borrowing 800 million shillings a day to the national debt. What our members of parliament should be doing, should be discussing, how do we get our doctors back to work? How do we provide money for them in the consolidated fund? We might not meet the 3 times or 300% requirement, and I think the 40% they were given was a good starting point. But it should have been a national debate at a national level.
Yes.
Is how do we get them back to work, rather than discussing how do we reward people who served in the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th parliament, and people who are serving at the moment. And as you know, I mean, normally up to 60% of the people do not go back, and maybe that's why that's the reason why they.
Back to the doctors issue and the handling, the way the COG and the governors handled the situation. I remember you were one of those governors who said you were going to sack your doctors around January 10th. That week you said by Friday you'll issue show cause letters, sacking letters. Did you get to that point, or did you reconsider, and why? What informed your reconsideration?
There are two things. One is the reality of the contract and the reality of the situation. So, I mean, I'm talking about the reality of the situation. The reality of the contract is that they were in breach. So there needs to be a balance between the reality of the situation and the reality of the contract. And that's why, I mean, you heard in the last few weeks I've been urging doctors that, I mean, they took the hypocritical
Hippocratic
oath, the Hippocratic, I'm not saying hypocritical, the Hippocratic oath, where service and management and preservation of life should be the foremost thing in what they do, rather than of course, I mean, you have to be paid for what you do,
yes,
but the overriding principle should be preservation and maintenance.
So Nairobi County did not get to fire any doctors?
No, we haven't fired any. We haven't fired any doctors. We've given them the opportunity, but we were employing doctors anyway. We've advertised for about 160. About 160 doctors.
Those positions do exist.
Yeah, the position. We need more obstetrics, gynecologists. We need more pediatricians. We need more dentists. We need more surgeons.
The ones on strike go back.
So even if they do go back, we'll still employ some more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the issue of garbage, and this was one of your main promises that you're going to handle garbage collection in Nairobi when you came into office. Now that is one of the things that have become an eyesore in some parts of the city. I know it is a problem, and cartels were running this issue. How far are you with that? Have you been able to handle the cartels that were running garbage collection in Nairobi city estates? Maybe the city center looks a bit clean, but if you go to some of these city estates, it's still a problem.
Cartels is a big issue, not just garbage cartels. Garbage cartels is big because, you know, garbage is big business. This is the reason why when we set out to control the private garbage management, they took us to court and got an injunction, and I'll come back to that in a minute. I mentioned that when we came in, we were collecting only 300 tons of garbage because we only had about 14, 15 lorries. So far we have 100 plus about 12 private contractors who are helping. So we are now collecting out of that. Every Nairobian produces half a kilo of garbage every day, or waste, and we are now collecting 2,000. The remaining 400 is collected by private garbage collectors, people who took us to court. So a lot of the garbage you see in estates, what they do is, rather than take what they've collected to Dandora, they wait in darkness, or then they dump it somewhere for us to go and collect. We've been trying to get these issues resolved in court, and we'll resolve it very soon. But by and large, we are collecting 80% of the garbage. We are in the process of teaming up with an investor so that we can go through what you call a sorting process, and then use the garbage to generate electricity. But when we talk about the cartels, the cartels have employed a number of people to collect plastics and these things so that they can recirculate. The annual amount of money they make per year is in excess of 8 billion shillings in Nairobi. That's why
the cartels alone.
The cartels
through
alone.
Garbage collection.
Through garbage collection.
Have they zoned some areas of the city whereby now City Hall is enabled to move in and collect? As you say, you collect 80% directly. City Hall collects about 80%. Are the cartels, have they zoned out the rest of the area such that you cannot venture there and collect the garbage?
No, they have not zoned. But you remember what I said, they collect what they collect. But rather than taking them to Dandora,
they still dump in the same
They go into the back street and dump it. Yeah.
then you have to go
and then we have to go and we have to go and collect it. We've been pleading with the courts that they conclude these cases so that we are able to control them. But you know what cartels are.
But you are aware of these errant.
Of course, we know them. We know who they are. We know where they operate. We can't arrest them because they've got protection of the courts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, but Governor, let's talk about politics now, because it is an election year, and there's so much that's happening, and there's so much that has happened in the past 6, 7, 8 months or so, especially with regard to the number of people who are angling to unseat you as governor. What does it say about your reign as governor, that so many people are feeling they can do the job better than you?
But probably before we come to that, I mean, you did ask me about what are some of the challenges that I've met.
And probably that could be one of those. one of the
issues is there's no sufficient funds because the Commission of Revenue Allocation uses a formula which uses population, uses area, and uses poverty index. It does not consider the uniqueness of cities like Nairobi. So the amount of money we get is not sufficient. Two is the number of workers whom we got are so many. Most of them, I mean, out of the 11,000 we got 16,000 the people who came from central government and people from city council. Then we got rid of the 3,000 ghost workers. We took them to we made sure we locked them. They can't escape now and come back. Rather than spend 40% of revenues on salaries, we are spending 80%. So we only have 20% for development. So we need to work with government to make sure that the people whom they had employed are released, so that we have a lot more money for development. Third is the government owes us money, because I mean we generate revenue through CAPEX, through rates, and the services we provide, and we've been providing this for government. They do not pay. They owe us 69 billion shillings. Are you hoping they'll ever pay? But I mean, They should. But yeah. And when we owe them money, they don't even ask us. They just go and close the bank account. Like KRA just put agency order and notices. If it is treasury, all we find is that money has been remitted less what we owe. So government needs to facilitate Nairobi, not by giving us more money, but by paying for the services what they owe. Okay. And probably there lies the answer, because if people see and say government owes Nairobi 59 billion shillings, probably they think that, and a lot of these people are looking for jobs. Yes, they are not looking to provide a service. Okay. Yeah. Now, back to my question about the politics of Nairobi and the many people that have been seeking to unseat you. What does it say, therefore, about your period as the governor of Nairobi, that we have quite a number of people who see like they can do the job better than you? I don't think the question they're looking at the opportunity to provide a service. They're looking for an opportunity to earn. They're looking for jobs where they can where they can be paid. Because I mean, leadership is not just that you have to sit in a particular seat. Leadership is about concern about the communities. Are you talking about governance? Are you talking about democracy? Are you talking about social mobilization? Are you working with youth groups to make sure that they are better organized, so that they are better engaged? Are you working with the communities? We receive 1.2 million people get into the job market every year. 800,000 of them end up in Nairobi. You don't have to be a governor, or to be able to. You don't have to be a governor to find solutions. We have public participations like when we did the new plan, we did the strategic plan, and on an annual budgetary plans. None of the leaders has ever come and said, I mean, I'm a Nairobian, I'm served in Nairobi, and my 2 cents is, this is the way we need to spend our money. Yeah.
So all you're seeing is people looking for jobs.
Absolutely.
There's nothing else. It's
Absolutely.
just everyone wants to be governor.
Everyone wants
but now we're seeing it more and more on the Jubilee side. Quite a number. If I can count them on both of my hands, there are more than 5-6 candidates on the Jubilee side who want to be governor. Some of them, you've worked with them as your senators. There's also the women representative who's not angling for governor, but is campaigning for someone else to be governor. What does it say? Because they seem to be convinced that this time round they'll be able to take over Nairobi.
Leadership is not about control. Leadership is about service. And you can serve in any capacity. But also, I mean, you can't blame them. They want to be governors or they want to come in to take over the leadership. Like you will recall at one point the second in command on the Jubilee side went to a church and he said liwe liwalo juu chini kushoto kulia inyeshe ikauke. Jubilee will take the leadership of Nairobi. Instead, I mean, we should be asking, how do we make our 42 communities live in harmony? How do we increase job opportunities for our youth? How do we engage our youth? Currently, we are seeing that we are not meeting the targets for voter registration. And it's coming through that is the youth who are not registering. We should be asking ourselves as leaders, why aren't the youth responding? Why aren't they registering? Are they disillusioned? If they're disillusioned, why are they disillusioned? And how can we meet them at their point of need?
Yes, and we'll come back to that issue of voter listing, because Nairobi is one of those counties that are doing very poorly. According to the numbers given by IEBC, you've only done 31% of the target. And this is a cosmopolitan city where even the facilities, a metropolis where even access to registration centers is easier for people. But back to the issue of politics and what has been happening. With all this hype generated by the scramble for Nairobi, it appears like they've taken the thunder away from you, because now everyone is discussing about who in Jubilee is going to be the flag bearer for this ticket. Then no one is talking about Evans Kidero, who's the incumbent, yet you're running. This 6 months to the elections. Doesn't that unsettle you?
No, absolutely. That's because I'm busy serving Nairobians. You've seen, I mean.
But surely, Bwana Governor, it is a campaigning period. 6 months to the elections, you're not unsettled by people talking about anyone else who could be replacing you as governor?
No, in the first place, I think they have to decide themselves among us, the 6 of them. I've just seen in the papers today, some of them have gone on a retreat on how to plot to block others. I think everybody has a right, be they in COD, be they in Jubilee. Everybody has a right. Anybody who thinks he can make a contribution, anybody who thinks he can provide leadership to Nairobians, I think they should be given an opportunity. I believe in fair is fair. And Nairobians cannot be duped. They'll always choose the most competent person. You will recall when we ran in 2013, how many were we? We were 9. You'll recall it was me, it was Waititu, it was Jim Nambaru, it was Kavemba, it was Kisia, it was, I mean, even some of the names I cannot remember. And the more the merrier. Let Nairobians have a choice so that they can decide. But
when the incumbent is not as visible as the people who are rivaling him, then there's a problem.
I don't think the incumbent is not visible. Is not visible. He might not be visible on noise and cacophony, but he's busy serving his people, which is what I'm doing. So that's why I was in Masai's yesterday. That's why I was in Embakasi the other day. That's why I was in Westlands with the Kibagare people sorting out their lands so they don't get displaced or misplaced. That's why in the next 2 weeks, we are going to sort out, provide the title deeds to the people in Embakasi ranching, in Kiambu, Dandora, in Zone 58 in Umoja. That's the reason why last week I was at Waithaka Crescent looking at the roads being done. That's why last Friday I was on Mamawahu in Dagoretti. That's why 2 weeks ago I was at Falcon Road going to Mukuru Kwanjenga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but some could argue that probably the lack of visibility has something to do with the lack of action or competition on your side of the political divide, especially when it comes to your seat. The competition seems to be a lot more on the Jubilee side. Are we saying that you're hoping to get direct nomination from ODM, or are you hoping to go through a nomination process? Have you been, has anyone else challenged you within the party?
2013 I went through a nomination process. I mean, there was Dr. Mugushu, there was Wanjiru. I mean, those circumstances were different. And I was the victor. This time I believe that the NASA will have other candidates, ODM. Certainly I'm going to run with my current deputy. We've agreed we'll maintain...
Also, you're still maintaining your deputy, Jonathan Mweke?
Jonathan Mweke. We're going to run with Mweke. And anybody who comes will go through a nomination process. We're ready for that, because we live in a democratic country. And the people in Nairobi must be given the opportunity to choose the leaders.
You're not hoping for a direct ticket from your party?
I mean, if it comes, so be it. But if nobody comes, so be it. But if anybody comes, I'm not going to shy away, and I'm not going to plead that please give me a direct ticket. I think Nairobians must be given an opportunity to choose the leader they want and the leader they deserve. Okay.
Time now for a short break. We'll be back to discuss with the governor a lot more issues, including the voter listing issue, where Nairobi seems to be one of those counties that are doing so poorly in terms of people turning out to register as voters. That when Power Breakfast returns.
Akili, akili, akili. Starting this Saturday, your favorite Kiswahili kids show gets a double dose of more fun.
Hisabati ni nini? Hisabati mikakati. Kila siku na kila wakati. Hisabati ni...
Watoto tembo, wewe nimefurahi kukuona. Sura kwa macho. Wewe nasikia tu toto tembo, toto tembo.
Akili and me and Ubongo Kids, starting this Saturday at 9 a.m.